Ranking Member Murphy, I will tell you that we will never break the Constitution, and we're not going to break the law, but we're going to enforce our nation's laws. And we're going to enforce the laws that you guys passed and that we implement. We will never go outside that, and if we do, we'll hold each other accountable for that.
But that doesn't sound like the same thing as committing that you will obey a court order. Obviously, the entire structure of the federal government gives the power to the federal courts to divine whether you are obeying the law or not. I mean, I think it's an easy thing to say. Will you or will you not implement court orders?
If we didn't think courts were...
A heated Senate hearing just took an explosive turn. One senator accused ICE of violating nearly 100 court orders, citing a Republican-appointed federal judge who said the agency may have ignored more court rulings in a single month than some federal agencies have violated in their entire existence. But when pressed on whether DHS would obey court orders going forward, the secretary refused to give a direct yes or no answer, instead arguing that some judges are politicizing the bench. The exchange quickly escalated into a tense constitutional showdown over the rule of law, executive power, and immigration enforcement. Watch this dramatic confrontation and decide for yourself who made the stronger case.
Thank you. Mr. Secretary, this is from a federal court decision regarding ICE's activities in Minnesota. ICE is not a law unto itself. ICE has violated nearly 100 court orders. This list should give pause to anyone, no matter his or her political beliefs, who cares about the rule of law. ICE has likely violated more court orders in January 2026 than some federal agencies have violated in their entire existence. That's not a Democratic-appointed judge. That is a Republican-appointed judge describing the scale of illegality. I understand your MO and others in the administration's MO is to attack us personally or to claim that we're inciting violence when we point out the widespread illegality. But this is a Republican-appointed judge who is saying the exact same thing that I am saying. This is a really important discussion for us to have, because this is, whether you want to believe it or not, at the root of our disagreement, is that it is very hard for us to figure out how to fund an agency that is violating the law. Again, that's not me saying it. That's a Republican-appointed federal judge. Now, this widespread violation of court orders admittedly largely happened before you got on the job. And as a senator, you always struck me as somebody who cared about the rule of law. And so maybe the easiest question is this. When DHS gets a court order telling them that something they are doing is either illegal and unconstitutional, prior to you taking office, the approach was to ignore that court order. That's what this judge is saying. 94 times you got a court order, you didn't implement it. Now that you are on the job, can you commit to us that if a court judges something ICE is doing, something DHS is doing as illegal or unconstitutional, tells you to stop, that you will comply with the court order?
Ranking Member Murphy, I will tell you that we will never break the Constitution, and we're not going to break the law, but we're going to enforce our nation's laws. And we're going to enforce the laws that you guys passed and that we implement. We will never go outside that, and if we do, we'll hold each other accountable for that.
But that doesn't sound like the same thing as committing that you will obey a court order. Obviously, the entire structure of the federal government gives the power to the federal courts to divine whether you are obeying the law or not. I mean, I think it's an easy thing to say. Will you or will you not implement court orders?
If we didn't think courts were politicized, then I would probably be able to answer that. But we see courts over and over again that use their bench for their political opinion, not just the rule of law. So and we can see that because we see how many times they're overturned.
Choose which court orders you obey based upon whether you believe that what I said to be political.
Don't put words in my mouth.
What are you saying then?
What I'm saying is we'll enforce the law and we're never going to break the Constitution.
You just said that you will not follow every court order because you believe the
Chris, Senator, don't start putting words in my mouth. That's not what I said. I said I will never break the Constitution. We're going to enforce the law.
Will you implement court orders when they tell you to stop an activity?
You're making an assumption on court orders I haven't seen.
Will you or will you not?
I am going to enforce the law, and I'll never break the Constitution.
I think, listen, if you're a Republican or a Democrat on this committee, you should be really, really freaked out.
We should be really concerned about the rulings that come out of the courts and how often they get
Our federal system
overturned.
falls apart if you are telling me that
They fall apart when you have a judge that makes a political opinion from a bench, and they're outside the law too. Not all judges are above the law, but sometimes they think they are. That's why we see lower courts get overturned by higher courts constantly.
Let me ask you about what's happening in Delaney Hall. You said that detainees are protesting there because they want their, quote, ethnic food. I have 3 official letters that were sent to the administration from about 300 detainees there. It won't shock you that there's no mention of ethnic food in these letters. These letters allege that there has been spoiled food, delayed medical treatment, sewage backups, undue pressure to sign deportation paperwork. Madam Chair, if I could submit these letters for the record.
Without objection.
Nowhere in these letters is a demand for ethnic food. They describe pretty horrific conditions. This administration has defunded the ombudsman, the independent office that used to exist inside DHS that would do an independent investigation of claims like this. Can you just tell us, if you're taking these claims seriously, these allegations seriously, and looking at them, or whether you've prejudged this to be, as you stated, about a demand for ethnic food? These seem pretty serious, and it seems like you would want to investigate.
So since the history of that facility being open, not one single health violation has been written. In fact, just recently, the state of New Jersey's health inspectors went in. They didn't find one single violation. But if you compare it to what the state prison system is, state prison system, they have 3 prisons that are in deplorable conditions. Quote, that's what the health inspector said. Delayed health care is average of 32% delayed within 48 hours. We have more health. We have 2 times. No, yes.
Are you doing an investigation on these allegations?
Ranking member, this is why I had this information, is because I went through and looked at it and looked at what we have. 0 health inspections.
Not everyone is a health inspection allegation.
You made some pretty damning claims saying that it's deplorable conditions.
Or not?
I said we looked into it. Health inspectors were just there.
Time has expired.
And we had 0 violations. 0 violations.
I'd also like to point out this is one of the things that we had included in the bipartisan appropriations bill was an inspector general that would have been able to investigate the conditions there at different detention facilities, and it's one of the reasons why, yet again, and I appreciate Chair Collins' work on making sure that that was incorporated. Senator Kennedy.
That was one of the most intense moments of the hearing. The central question remained unanswered: should federal agencies follow every court order, even when they believe judges are acting politically? Supporters argue the administration is simply enforcing immigration laws and protecting national security. Critics say refusing to clearly commit to court rulings threatens the foundation of the American legal system. What do you think? Was the Secretary right to challenge what he sees as activist judges? Or should there have been a clear commitment to obey every court order? Share your opinion in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more major political hearings and breaking developments.